Hey everyone, it is Tuesday afternoon, and I don't know who I'm going to catch on, excuse me, today, but wanted to pop on here and give you guys our latest update in terms of what is happening in Edmonton's spring real estate market. And I'm also going to talk to you about just the different stats in terms of like which neighborhoods are moving quickly, what price points are moving quickly. So if you are watching live, you can comment and I can answer your questions if I can on here. If you're commenting after the fact, I will try to make sure I look back and see if I can answer for next week. And next week, I will be likely, if you're looking to catch me in the morning, is when I will be on. So probably around 9:30 a.m. Mountain Standard is kind of what I'm aiming to try. But today we're going to talk all about what is happening in Edmonton and also just trying to understand the market. So if you are a buyer looking to buy a home, comment below and let me know what kind of home, what timeline you're looking at. If you are looking to sell your home this year, I'd love to know kind of what neighborhood you're looking at in terms of selling. And if you want to comment the neighborhood in the comments, that's going to be super helpful to me. And if you're looking to buy and sell, I'd love to know what area are you selling in and which area are you looking to move into. That way, in my future lives, I can talk about kind of those specific areas and the strategies that you need to take. So when you are making moves like that, especially in this market, you want to be guided by a professional so that you can understand like all the nuances when it comes to that. So let's dive into seeing how many listings we currently have on the market. So currently we are looking at just under 2,000 single family home listings at Edmonton. Nothing too surprising. It is going up and it has been still really, really low. That's nothing to be like, oh, we're moving into a buyer's market because we're not moving into a buyer's market. And if you take a look around the surrounding areas, it's pretty much similar. And we're going to take a look at the pending sales. So I just see that you have put some stuff into the comments, C. Smith. So I'll address that after we finish talking about these stats here. So pending sales in Edmonton, we had 239. That last week's number is wrong because obviously it was not 22. We're staying pretty consistent. 200. If we start to see 300, that's really, really high demand, but over 200 sales is pretty healthy per week, if you think about that. And sold in the last 7 days, you're going to see 219 properties sold. So it keeps consistent. So we're over 200 in single family land in Edmonton. In the surrounding areas, we're very, very similar. So when you take a look at the fact that, only 20 houses sold in the surrounding areas, you have to understand that there's a lot less inventory. So it means there's even more demand. One of my colleagues posted a story about being in multiple offers, one of 16 offers in Spruce Grove. So, yes, now there was no price point given, and that's why I want to show you what price points are high and um, are in high demand. And how do you guess what your house is going to sell for when it comes to a multiple market? You can't really, it's hard because if the value says the house is worth 450 but you see that that house that was worth 450 sold for 500, do you price it at 500 or do you price it at 450? It's a good question, and it's a question that you need to ask your realtor, and you need to really understand the specific neighborhood that you're working with. If you take a look at last year compared to this year, this is something that I had been telling you that the sales last year were actually higher, and sure enough, so last year we had a lot busier in terms of deals coming together. Doesn't mean that the buyers aren't out there right now. It means that there's nothing to buy. Not nothing, but not as much to buy. So the numbers can't really go up to match the demand if there's not enough properties for sale. So there's that threshold of, if we wanted to see the numbers be beat from last year, we'd have to be seeing like 400 sales in 1 week. 1 week. And that means you'd have to have a lot of new listings coming on the market. But if you have like 1,900 listings and you sell 400 of those in 1 week, that's going to drop that number to like 1,500 unless 200 come pop up. So that's another, you're at 1,700. So you can see the math doesn't really quite make sense when you take a look at it that way. Now let's just take a look at this comment here. So tenants are moving out of a 3-bedroom townhouse in Rosenthal. bought a couple years ago and not sure what is going on with the economy and thinking I should just sell. So this is depending on many things. Is your mortgage a variable mortgage? Is it a fixed mortgage? Are you done in 2 more years? Are you done in three? Like, are you done now? Is your penalty high? Is it not high? Those are things to think about and ask your mortgage broker. The other thing is to understand the value without looking at your exact townhouse, whether it's condominiumized or not condominiumized, because we have both here in Rosenthal. If you're not condominiumized, if you're single family, I know for a fact that those have gone up in value. Now, how much you're expecting it to go up, that's all dependent on your expectations and the values. Because I know they have gone up and you, in theory, would be making money, but there's also closing costs that you have to consider to see if it actually makes sense. And good question about the economy. I mean, that's a good question for anybody, and nobody has a crystal ball as to what's going to happen. But at the end of the day, someone's always going to need to rent, someone's always need to buy. So whether or not you are tolerant enough to keep that property through the next months, it's hard to find a rental. So, as somebody who is looking to keep it as a rental, did you buy that as a rental to begin with? And if you did, what was your goal for having that rental? Was your goal to have the equity and the asset increase, or was it to make cash flow every month? Those are all different things you need to think about when you are investing in properties. So if that's the answer to your question, then you should be able to also determine if that makes sense for you to continue in or not continue in. So I wanted to take a look at the numbers of sales so that you guys could see what is happening in terms of what's selling. So I won't show you that ugly screen for now. So let's take a look. I always talk about the 4 to 500. This is for single family homes. This is very popular. And if we look back in the last 30 days, 382 homes sold between $4 to $500,000. Now, if we take a look at just the last 7 days, that's 89, just that price point alone. Of those 89, the average price point was 451, 487, so pretty much in the middle. And average days on market for this price point is 23 days. And let me just take a look at the areas and then I'll show you the areas here. So if you take a look at the areas, you can see they range all over the place. This is just the last 7 days, keep in mind, right? So Glen Ridding, for example, very busy in the last 7 days. 3 in Graydon Hill. Laurel, which is southeast. McConaughey in the northeast. Seacourt, Hamptons, and Walker. Now, this is just in 7 days. I want to also take a look at, so when you see the green, it means it sold over list price. So this was listed at 375. It sold for 400. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. You see all these green? I'm going to lose count here. Lots selling over list price. Now, there's a fair share that have sold under list, but there's a lot selling for over. Now, when it's over, look, this is only $100 over. But then this one was 14,000 over. So it's not a static number that just says, "Hey, I'm going to put an offer 5K over, 10K over, $100 over." It really depends on how many offers were actually on the table. Now, if we take a look at the 5 to 600 range in Edmonton, 63 properties. Now, in theory, we should say 501 because this is otherwise it's double counting. 62. So 62 properties sold, and the other one was 89. So obviously the other one was more popular, but this is still quite a bit of properties for sale. And if you look at the neighborhoods as well, again, this is 7 days, not a whole month. So it's normal to see a variety of different neighborhoods, but you can kind of see where the activity is and where things are moving. It's kind of spread. And then if we take a look at the price points, you have a fair amount. Some have been sitting for like 139 days, but then there's others that were there for 8 days, 9 days. Let's say look at days on market, actually. So you had one that sold like immediately, right? 0 days on market and sold for $22,000 over list. 1, 2, 4, 5, 7. These ones probably had very few conditions, if any. and then 8, 9, 11. So there's quite a few. Like we're now sitting in the okay, so under a week, you have 17 properties sell under 7 days. Or sorry, under 10 days. That's a lot of properties that sold very quickly. So they would have come on the market within the week and then been sold. And then you can see there's a fair chunk between 11 and then you've got some over 100. So there's still 4 or 5 that sold over that price point, and these are new builds, right? So they would have been on the market. They always list their houses um, at framing stage or whatnot. So they don't really, they're not like sellers. They're not going to say, "Oh, you've been on the market for a long time, and therefore I'm going um, to get a price discount." That's not how that works. Builders work in a completely different world. So when you take a look at the 4 to 5 and the 5 to 6, you can see that now the average price for a single family home in Edmonton is over 500,000. And so that's why when you see 4 to 5 being more in demand, that doesn't surprise me because it's even more affordable. 4 to 5 used to get you a completely different house than it does now. It used to get you similar to what you got in the 5 to 6, especially in the new build world, and things have changed significantly. And so you need to take a look and understand the market. When you're looking to sell your house in a neighborhood, it depends on what the neighborhood's doing. And so if we take a look at Rosenthal, for example, because our viewer said that she has a townhouse there. So let's take a look at townhouses that are single family. So these are attached homes. They do not have condo fees attached to them. And I'm just trying to make it residential attached townhouse. They're different from duplexes. In the last 90 days, 9 properties have sold. The last 30 days, just 2. And we'll just take a quick look at what they're selling for. These ones used to sell for under 400,000 and like a while ago. And now these both sold at 422.5 and 429. I'm curious if they have a finished basement. 1,300 square feet, built in 2016. One was built in 2024. Unfinished basements with double detached garages. So that's what you're getting for $422,000 and $429,000. You see that the newer one is getting more money because that's usually what happens. People do tend to want to pay more money for a newer home. If there's other areas you want me to check out, just pop it in the comments while we are live here and we can talk more about that. So yeah, when you take a look at if you're trying to enter the market, what are some key things that you need to have in order to win in a multiple market? Like 16 other offers, that's kind of competitive. So you got to make sure that the realtor that you're working with is experienced with winning multiple offers. You also need to make sure that you listen to that realtor if they are experienced and figure out a strategy. And there's always going to be times where you might not win, but if you can set yourself up for the most success, the other way to make sure that you're in is also talking to your mortgage broker and finding out about your financial situation. Could you write an offer without conditions, or do you need conditions? I think it's always important to have conditions, but just find out all your different options and kind of what the risk factors are involved in that. I have a comment here. What is the property tax of a detached home? Well, that's a great question. Every home is going to be different when it comes to property taxes. So Edmonton, if you're not from here, is got the craziest property tax rate ever. So when people talk to me about their property taxes in Calgary and Vancouver, Toronto for like a different price point of a house, they are shocked. In general, we tend to have higher taxes for the price point. And what I want to show you is the way you figure this out is you go to the City of Edmonton website. It's edmonton.ca property tax, and you can see the tax breakdown, I believe. So they're set by 70% of your total property tax amount. They take the city budget divided by your total assessed value, and then you get your municipal tax rate. And then you do this. So this is the breakdown. They also usually have a cap. So here's like the history of taxes. Interesting. I don't know what the bylaw is, but these are your mill rates. So you would multiply this by square footage of the property. So you take a look at the municipal residential, because you got property taxes when it comes to commercial buildings, farmland, and non-residential as well. So this is how they calculate it. If you're looking at a townhouse like we just looked at, for example, without disclosing some privacy information, I'm just going to take a look here. That townhouse that was in the 400s, that property tax amount for 2024, so last year, was $3,825 for 2024. 2025 is higher, and this is for a house that's in the 400 range. If we were looking at a house in the five, and also the neighborhood, right? So neighborhood is going to dictate things too. We were just looking at Rosenthal, and I'll show you one in, like, let's say an older neighborhood, and it'll give you a different context. So this house that sold for 540, that property tax for last year was 5239. And then if I go into, I'm going to go to Elmwood. Elmwood has bungalows. They're older. They're 1950s. What is happening? Nothing's selling for that much money there. Apparently nothing sells for over 500 in Elmwood. Oh, I had to go back quite a bit. So this is a 1982 story. So the taxes in 2023 is 4,266. That's not totally correct because that's 2 years ago now, and that was pending in last February. If you go to edmonton.ca/maps, I believe. Nope, that's not it. Pretty sure you don't want to see those maps. There is a way that you can take a look at the city of Edmonton. You can actually see your property taxes, and then you can see your neighbors. I'm sure that's real fun for you guys. The interesting thing too is you can see that when you're in the States, you can see even more things. They give out information like there's nobody's business here. But here, if you go to edmonton.ca, you go to home and neighborhood, and you click property taxes. I think they got rid of that map. They used to have a map that gave you a city assessed value, but I believe that's gone now too. Edmonton City Assessment Map. Oh, I found it. Okay, so this, if you find this website, maps.edmonton.ca, you see this? You could literally write in an address and take a look at the taxes for it. You can click on it and see, it'll show up on the bottom. For privacy's sake, I am not going to go and search up an address on the internet and show you all their private information, but you can search by address. So if you take a look at here, it says I'm looking for, and you can type in the address and then you can be able to find all that information out. The link is maps.edmonton.ca. It is public domain. You can go in there as anybody to find out what the property taxes are for that house to see if it is that. Now, if you own a house and you need to, if you're looking to make sure your taxes or your assessment's correct, not always the correct way to assess your value. Like I showed you, there's different ways to do it by numbers, and has nothing to do with actually what your property value is actually worth. Got another question here. Good time to sell or wait. Got a duplex in Chappelle and been waiting forever for prices to go up in Edmonton. All right, so I have more questions for you if you're still watching. In order to know if it's a good time to sell or wait, my question to you is, what is the motive to sell? What kind of price point are you waiting for it to rise up to? The market has gone up, but I don't know when you bought it. So that's another question. And I don't know if you overpaid when you bought it, or if you got it for market value, or if you got it for under. That also plays a factor of prices to go up, because prices have been going up. They went up 10% last year. So if you did not see an increase from what you paid to what you could sell it for, it's a high probability that you likely overpaid for your home at the time of purchase. But I wouldn't know that until I actually looked at your specific house. So good time to sell or wait is a very loaded question because it depends on the person, right? I'm going to sneeze. So if you guys want to, if you are watching and you want to answer that, I'll let you. All right. Welcome to spring in Edmonton. Yeah. So if you have that as a question, I think it's important to know if there's so many different factors. I can't just tell you outright, yeah, it's a good time to sell, or yeah, it's a good time to wait. It totally depends. It depends to, are you looking to free up some money? Are you looking to move on to another property? It's never a good time if you're basing it on external time. You need to look at your own situation to see if it makes sense. And if you're waiting for it to go up, for example, are you waiting for it to go up 100K? Because if you are, you're going to be waiting a very long time. That being said, they have gone up. Like that townhouse I just showed you guys that sold this year, it sold for about, I want to say 40K, so about 10% more than what it was when I saw it a few years ago. Because keep in mind, we've had market changes for quite some time. Let's take a look at this. Bought it in 2014, more than 375. Okay, wait, I'm confused. You want more than 375. You should have no issues to get more than 375. You bought it at 415 to 320. Okay, I'm confused. You mean 415 to 420? Oh, 315. Sorry, I just saw that. So bought it for 315 to 320. You have a finished basement. Is it a duplex? Is it a condominiumized duplex? Or does it have no condo fees? And you bought it like 11 years ago. I would like to guess that you have bought a place with condo fees. If it's single family, you should have no issues to get what you're looking for, I would think. Also depends on the condition of your home, how old it is, if it's in good condition or not. You mentioned, oh, this is not you. Someone else mentioned they had tenants in it. So if you want more info specifically, I'm happy to just take this conversation offline and you can just email me. Um, and we can have a more descriptive, you can send me your address and your email and we can kind of go through that specifically. But you shouldn't have an issue getting what you're looking for unless it's a condo. No normal duplex, no condo fees. Okay. So I don't know where you're getting your value from. Unless when you bought it, it was worth less. I don't know. I'd have to take a look at the exact address and kind of dig into it further at that stage. So hopefully that helped you. And with that, it's almost 3 o'clock, and I wanted to just wish you guys all well, and we'll talk next week. Bye, guys.